Mom would want to make sure my tie is straight. So. I was given the name Benjamin. The name means two things. Firstly, it means youngest child, which of course I am, and quite proudly at that. As you can see, that's baby Ben over there on the right. I love being my mother's baby, feeling special because everything I did would be for the last time for her. When I was little, I was afraid to grow up because I felt like I would disappoint her if I wasn't her little Benjamin bunny anymore. I didn't tell her this until years later, and of course she informed me I was being ridiculous. Secondly, the name means favorite child, which couldn't be true for any of us. Favoritism was a game Mom never played. I know she genuinely loved each of the three of us, her menfolk, as she called us, with equal portions of her generous heart. But she was my favorite person in life, and she always will be. She used to tell me how when I was a toddler that I would insist she'd carry me around in a backpack, and I would cry if she separated us. As a child, how much I used to want to find an excuse to sit in her lap, to have a cuddle, as she called it, even long after I had grown far too big to do so. I remember sitting in her arms in an old rocking chair we had, falling asleep to the soothing creaks of the rustic wicker, and to her singing All the Pretty Horses to me, and inserting my name, Benny, into the lyrics. It was the safest place. You could say I've always been a mama's boy, but I've never seen this as a bad or embarrassing thing, for me to be that devoted to the person who gave me everything. Growing up, I always wanted so desperately to please her, never to make her angry, to be the good son. When I was 11, she was very unhappy over disappointment she had suffered, so I taught myself to cook in hopes that I could make her happy if I helped out. She set the standards high for my brothers and me. I always pushed them a little further, partly in hopes of being worthy of her approval. I was never one to complain about her. Friends would say, "Oh, your mom's so nice," and I would say yes, and feel glad knowing that I wouldn't want any other one. She was caring, she was loving, and she was peculiarly modest. This summer, in a highly irrational moment of charged emotion, she proclaimed herself a failure as a mother. It must have been something she ate. Rubbish! Rubbish, I told her, assuring her that it was quite the opposite. The woman was a driving force, an excessively, relentlessly dedicated parent. Whenever I was performing a show in school, invariably someone in the cast would pass me backstage during the performance and say, "Hey, Ben, your mom's in the audience. I just heard her laughing." And I would say, "She came again?" I would groan, and hoping that maybe there would be one time she didn't come. Mom read parenting books the way some people devour supermarket novels. When I was 14, I sensed a shift in her style. She was starting to nag me incessantly. And I said to her, "Mom, did your parenting book series end at 14? How did you know?" She asked. She quickly hit the market for new resources. Mom had to know about everything that went on in my day-to-day life, every last detail that I would be willing to reveal about school, about my friends, and about how I was feeling. She would shoulder my sadness as her own, as if perhaps she could feel some of it for me. She wouldn't let me go to bed crying, ever, even if it meant a subsequent sleepless night for her from the worry of comforting me. "I'm not giving up on you," she once said in her tireless efforts to help me overcome my sorrows. Once I went away to school, I tried to keep it a secret from her if I were depressed. It didn't seem fair that she should suffer alongside me. She needed to live for herself, too, but maybe it wasn't her style. 3 months ago, after I found out that there wasn't any hope for her recovery, the first thing she said to me was, I'm so sorry this is hard for you." "Mom," I said, "don't worry about that." I told her that I was flying home the next day to see her. "However will you get your schoolwork done?" she said. The next day, before I left for the airport, I picked up a package from the mailroom at school. It had been addressed by Dad, but it was from her. She had still sent me Halloween candy. And though she could barely write anymore, she managed to scrawl out my name for a card. Looking back, I remember all of our time spent together. When I was growing up, we always had what was called special time, when she would read to me, Charlotte's Web, Wind in the Willows, and the Laura Ingalls Wilder books were our favorites. We loved watching the television program Anne of Green Gables together so much that Mom copied a quilt pattern from a scene in the show and made me an exact replica, which lies on my bed today. After my brothers left home, Mom and I had 4 very special years together. Our many dinners, just the two of us, brought us close together in a unique way. Sometimes there was nothing to say, or we would bicker about something, but often we would carry on gossiping, laughing devilishly like Dorothy Parker, lingering long after we had finished eating just to enjoy each other's company. Last spring, somewhat on a whim, I decided to major in English. A little early on in the game for the first year in college, but I had an underlying certainty. And with greater reflection, I grew more certain of my decision. One of the reasons I want to do it is because I want to be like Mom. I want to be able to share in the world that has brought her so much joy. I admire the thousands of books stuffed in every possible crack of our house. Has she really read every one? She had covered over half of the 100 best modern language lists from last summer. Me, only 11. Though I had covered one she hadn't. And as I make my way through the rest of college, I'll think of her, hope that maybe I can connect with her by reading these books, although I can't talk to her about them afterwards. I hope that I can carry on with the gifts that she gave me and continue her legacy. My mother was